During the 1950s to 1980s in Kazakhstan, significant developments took place in education, science, literature, and the arts. Educational reforms integrating schooling with production, while scientific institutions achieved notable milestones in space exploration and theoretical research. Kazakh Soviet literature saw continued development, and the musical and theater scenes flourished with renowned performers and notable productions. Additionally, Kazakh cinema reached its peak, producing numerous acclaimed films. This period marks a significant cultural and educational growth in Kazakhstan.
In the late 50s and early 60s, education reforms were implemented under Khrushchev's ideas, aiming to integrate school with production. An obligatory 8-year education was introduced, followed by 3 years of work in factories or agriculture. However, this led to mixed outcomes, as it resulted in an increased workforce mobility and a decline in the prestige of higher education. In 1964, some aspects of the reform were revised, and compulsory secondary education was implemented. During the 70s, the number of schools decreased while student enrollment rose. The higher education system expanded significantly, with the number of universities growing from 26 in the 50s to 55 by 1980s, accommodating over 250,000 students.
During the 1950s to 1980s, scientific institutions in Kazakhstan were divided into two categories: those under Kazakhstani jurisdiction and those under central control, with a focus on military development. A remarkable achievement on Soviet and Kazakhstani science during this period was the successful implementation of the space program. On October 4, 1957, the first artificial satellite was launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, and on April 12, 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first cosmonaut, taking off from Kazakhstan. Theoretical science in Kazakhstan also flourished. The Astrophysical Institute of the Academy of Sciences of the Kazakh SSR became a key research center for studying giant planets, galaxy dynamics, and star system development. The Institute of Nuclear Physics started operating the Republic's first nuclear reactor in 1967, advancing research in solid physics, radiation physics, and radiochemistry. In 1970, a separate institution was established to focus on high-energy physics. By 1978, Kazakhstan boasted over 200 scientific institutions employing more than 30,000 scientists. The Republic had 707 doctors and almost 10,000 candidates of sciences. Several scientists received prestigious awards, including Hero of Socialist War, Leninist and State and the Republic prizes.
20 ғасырдың 40-80 жылдары екінші дүниежүзілік соғысынан кейінгі халық шаруашылығын қалпына келтіру кезеңі болып табылады. Бұл жылдары Қазақстанда жазба әдебиет пен өнер саласы қарқынды дамыды. 20 ғасырдың 40-80 жылдарында қаламасынан шыққан туындылар мазмұны сұрапыл соғыстың қасіретін көрсеткен.
During the 1950s to 1980s, Kazakh Soviet literature experienced continued development marked by increased control over writers and poets by the party's Soviet bureaucratic machinery. The Third Congress of Writers of Kazakhstan and the Second All-Union Congress in 1954 emphasized the study of reality through the lens of creative mastery of Marxism-Leninism. The 1958 Decade of Kazakh Literature and Art held in Moscow showcased the achievement of Kazakh culture. Prominent writer Mukhtar Avezov played a crucial role during this period, completing the 4-volume novel The Way of Abay in the 1950s, which won the Lenin Prize in 1959. nor piece of novel trilogy Blood and Sweat and works by the Moldagaliwa were also recognized with state prizes. Historical subjects held significant importance in Kazakh literature, with notable works such as Eastern Berlin's Namaz and writing by Alimjanov, Mukhanov, Markov, Snegin, Simashko. Writers like Baujan Momashula, Akhtanov, Murtazaev, Kikilbaev, and Shashkin gained recognition during this period, along with talented poets Khairbekov, Maulenov, Makataev, Tajibaev. Ozaz Süleymanov's work stood out as his book Study as and I, published in 1974, faced criticism and was deemed harmful in ideological and political terms, effectively being banned. Furthermore, the post-war period saw a new phase in studying the literary heritage of the Kazakh people. In 1957, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Kazakhstan adopted a resolution on this matter, leading to the collection and publication of folk art samples, work by past poets and writers, and the publication of a three-volume history of Kazakh literature.
Kazakh musical art experienced further development. The Abay Academic Opera and Ballet Theatre, the State Philharmonic Society, and the Choral Chapel were active in the Republic. The Khurmangazi Academic Orchestra of Folk Instruments, the Song and Dance Ensemble, Symphony Orchestra, and the pop ensembles such as Grudir, Dos Mukhasan, and Aygul contributed to the vibrant music scene. This period marked the peak of Kazakh cinema. From 1955 to 79, over 70 films were produced, including Our Dear Doctor by Shaken Aymanov, The Tale of the Mother, Karpov, Shot at the Pass by Shamshiev, and Qizhbek by Khodjikov. Also, The End of Ataman, also by Shaken Aymanov. And the last one is Siberian Express by Orozbayev. Dubbing work was undertaken to translate films produced in other Soviet republics into Kazakh.
In general, the development of culture in the 1950s and 1980s was an ambiguous process. Along with the undoubted successes in various spheres, there were obvious crisis tendencies in the field of culture caused primarily by the national policy of the USSR. There was a gradual reduction in the scope of the Kazakh language. As a result, there was a situation when about a third of Kazakhs in the late 70s didn't know their native language at all. This led to a reduction in the audience of the Kazakh-speaking writers, a general feeling of discomfort in interethnic relations. Despite this, 1950s and 1980s years remain as the moment of sharp development of culture in Kazakhstan.